guys, today I am going to be sharing with you what's sold in our antique booths for the month of April. So as always, the price that I give you is the ticketed price. That does not include our 10% off that we have all of the time and everything like that. It's just what we have on our price tag sticker. So April wasn't too bad. We had some decent sales, some bigger sales in for this. Well, we're in May now. I was a little behind picking up my paper. We used to just like write a check out, but now we kind of have it set up like an auto pay thing. So you know, we sometimes forget to pick up the paper that has, you know, all of our sales on it. So I'm a little behind for this one. So this one is for last month of April. So the first thing that we have, and I totally forgot that this was still in the booth. I had it in there for Valentine's Day actually. But this was a Ray Dunn coffee mug that said Amore on it, and that sold for $9. Next item was just a little glass old Dr. Scholl's jar. So a neat advertising piece, but sold for $5. So it wasn't really worth a whole lot. Then we also sold a ceramic. These were ceramic cowls, salt and pepper shakers. Those sold for $12. I do like picking up salt and pepper shakers for the booth. Me personally, I like the more cutesy, figural, kitschy kind of salt and pepper shakers. I will pick up other ones if I can get them at a decent price. But, you know, those are the types that I am just more naturally drawn to. And Eric is too. So those went fairly quickly. Then there are two things that I do not have pictures for. Eric and I literally just got new phones yesterday. And he had deleted a bunch of his pictures off of his phone prior to, you know, going and getting a new phone. So I didn't have these pictures on my phone anyway. They were on his phone, so I am missing two pictures. And unfortunately, one is a garden flag, and we sold multiples of it. So unfortunately, I don't have a picture of this, but it was a garden flag. It had a cat on it, and it said, "Cat lovers and weirdos welcome," or something along those lines. Anyway, it sold for $10. This next item was a really large piece. It was actually a tall parking meter, but it was a bank. So this was pretty cool. That did sell for $49. Then we sold a set of Hazel Atlas uranium. So these glowed. These were uranium furniture coasters. So like the things you put like underneath your furniture to protect, you know, your floor. So that set sold for $21. Next item, don't have a picture of. This was a large paperweight. It was literally shaped like you know, a bag that would have had a fish inside of it. Sold for $39. I apologize, I don't have a picture of that. And then we sold another one of the cat lovers and weirdos flag for $10. All right, back to some stuff we have some pictures of. This next item was it was a glass candle holder on a brass stand. That sold for $10. Then these next three items should all be in the same picture. They were three miniature glass hens on a nest. So we sold a yellow one for $30, a blue one also for $30, and then a white one for $19. Then we sold a really large glass bonsai tree for $45. I literally have one more of these trees that I need to put in there. Right now we have where we had the bonsai tree on this one specific table. We have some larger Longaberger pieces, and the one larger Longaberger piece actually just sold yesterday. So if I can find a place for the 3 other Longabergers, or hopefully maybe they'll sell sometime soon. Then I can bring in that other tree because, like I said, I have 1 more left. Then sold a brass bird clip, like literally a clip, brass clip shaped like a bird. That sold for $12. Then we sold a Longaberger Easter basket for $39. Sold a Wiggy pretzel tin for $10. So this was kind of like local advertisement. You guys know I like picking up anything local to put in the booth because people do collect, you know, things that are local to, you know, your town that you live in. Then we sold a large ceramic cat, like one of those ones that you can just sit on the floor as decoration. That sold for $19. I feel like there was a little issue on it. We did have as is on that one. I don't even remember what it was. I don't think it was anything substantial, but you know, priced accordingly because of that. Another cat. No. Okay. I do have a picture of the one flag that sold. I'm pretty sure it just said "Stay Weird" with a frog. So I'll put that in this one instead because I missed it up at the other cat one. But it was another $10. That's what we sell our garden flags for. Then I sold another salt and pepper shaker set. This one was these 2 crabs in a pot, like a crab boil pot. These were so cute. That set sold for $10. Then there's another flag, a cat lover's flag that I don't have a picture of, sold for $10. Then we sold a little spaghetti trim dog for $19. This one was an expensive sale. We had this really awesome artwork piece signed. This was by an artist named Scott Musgrove. So this one sold for $325. So one auction that Eric had gone to, he got like a bunch of really just insanely awesome pieces of artwork. One of which is the one I have back here that I just had to keep. Then I ended up keeping another one, and there's another one that was in the booth and we took it out to replace it with something else, and now I'm on the fence about keeping that one as well. We don't own a lot of artwork, and you guys know I like the more weirder kind of stuff, and like this stuff is like right up my alley, you know what I mean? And it's like just one of those things where it's so hard to come by to begin with, but it's also worth a lot of money. So it's one of those like, I'm never gonna come across this again. So, you know, it makes me just want to like keep it. But we do still have some other pieces of artwork. A lot of it is not as large as some of the other pieces that we have, but yeah, we gotta get those sold as well. Then we sold a Moon and Stars green glass compote that sold $19. Also sold a green Moon and Stars toothpick holder for $10. Sold a marigold carnival vase for $23. Here's another Longaberger basket. This one was actually an autumn basket. I don't know why we had that in the booth at this point in time, but we did. But it still sold for $29. Then we sold 2. There were 2 of these. They were these little like mini A&W root beer glass mugs. We put $3 a piece on those, and they both sold. Then I did end up selling that painted wooden rolling pin. I remember I was so hesitant about picking this up at an estate sale because there were quite a few, and I only went with one, and it was based off the coloring of it. I liked the color of it. It just kind of had a little bit of a jadeite kind of coloring to it, so that's the one I picked up, and I just wasn't for certain if someone was ever going to buy it, but someone did, so that was awesome. That's over $14. Then we sold a French lamp for $89. I love when we sell a lamp because we have a lot of lamps that we need to put in the booth. But it's one of those things where I feel like people don't buy lamps like super duper often. But I think we actually sold 2 of them within the month of April. So that's awesome. So I have some really nice ones that need to go in still. Let's see. Then we sold an inflatable pink rabbit. So vintage inflatable pink rabbit that sold for $16. Then I sold a knitting basket for $29. We sold a Mr. Peanut green glass peanut jar. This one was actually a rare color in the green. That one sold for $150. Then let's see what else we have here. We sold 2 of these. 2 Fenton milk glass swung. These were pitchers, so they weren't necessarily vases. They, have the handle. You see it in the picture. Those sold $65 a piece because we sold both of them. Then we sold, again, 2 of these amber glass, Indiana glass fairy lamps. So, don't know why we priced one at $40 and then the other one we priced at $20. Doesn't make sense to me. I'm not entirely sure, but one says $40 and one says $20. So yeah, I'll have to double check my notebook on those. Hopefully that wasn't a mistake where like the 40 should have been the 20 or vice versa. The only other thing I could think of is that a lot of the times those fairy lamps, like some of them can be flashed and the flashing on them isn't always, perfect. So the $20 one, the flashing might have not have been, as so good as the higher priced one. So I'll have to take a look at that. Then we sold a Swarovski little owl. So just a little small Swarovski crystal owl that sold for $49. Then we sold another Longaberger basket. This one was a daisy basket that sold for $17. And then we sold a Longaberger tissue box for $45. So Longaberger was never something we really were, I was never into it. And it wasn't, we didn't really pick it up super often. Like I always knew, like I always had good luck with like the tissue boxes and things like that. But now since having a booth, people do buy Longaberger, at least around here. It's still popular. So if we can find it and get it at a good price, we'll still pick it up. We're a little particular with it, but not as particular as we used to be. Then we sold a Tupperware canister set. I believe there were 3 pieces to this canister set that sold for $29. Sold an enamel colander. This had roosters all around it. We actually had 2 of these in the booth. So one sold, we still have one. That sold for $19. And sold another set of salt and pepper shakers. These were shaped like anthropomorphic oranges that said Florida on them. Those sold $9. Then I sold a brass egg, and you could open the egg. It was, it could be opened, but it was on a stand, a brass stand, and that sold for $10. We sold a Lefton Miss Priss divided tray for $89. Then we also sold a uranium glass lidded candy dish for $46. A set of 2, so this was both of them, little stone, they were made out of stone turtles. That set sold for $10. I sold, this was just like a wooden star on a base, just kind of had like a primitive type of look to it. That sold for $5. Then we sold a blue and white planter. This was rather large and it had kind of a crimped design, ruffle edge around the top. That sold for $18. Last thing that we sold, and this was also a good one, and also a lamp. This was for a floor lamp. It was brass. And it was a brass bamboo floor lamp, so it was very MCM. Again, these lamps are worth good money. Probably could have got more for it had we, you know, listed it on like eBay or something, but some things you just don't want to ship on eBay, and that was definitely one of them. That's over $295. So that one was a good sale as well. I mean, they're all good sales. Any sale is a good sale. It doesn't matter if it's $2 or $295. If it's a sale, it is good. Especially because of how things have been lately, with just, you know, how sales have been going. But I do think April was a pretty decent month. So I'm curious to see how the month of May will be. I think we have, what is today's date? Oh, I just got a cha-ching on eBay. Today is May 9th, and you know, we have already sold some things in the booth already for the month. So we'll see how the rest of the month goes. Today is Friday. I should have been out yard sailing, but of course, rain again. Always wants to rain on our yard sailing parade. I know we could still go in the rain, but I feel like there were only like a handful of yard sales scheduled for today, and you just never know if people actually have garages or stuff, you know what I mean, like if they'd still have it in the rain. So we decided to stay home today, and I am editing, and we'll probably get some things listed because we will be going yard sailing tomorrow. So I feel like that's pretty much everything for... No, that's not everything, because I remember something. There was something when I did an eBay cha-ching. I told you guys there was something booth related that I wanted to mention, but I was going to wait until I did my what sold in the booth video. So we had an issue. Issues sometimes arise as far as having a booth goes. We have had things that were broken, that you know, someone had broke. We've had stuff walk off already. So like, these are things that I realize is going to happen with having a booth. Like, it's just bound to happen at some point, right? But I still wanted to like make mention of it, just because like it didn't even cross my mind to have to do something like this. So Eric and I had a Pyrex, like, was it 3 pieces or 4 pieces? Like refrigerator, kind of like covered dishes, like casserole kind of dishes. It was a whole set with the bottoms and the lids. So the very largest casserole obviously had a lid on it. Somebody while they were shopping, must have found a bottom without a lid. And what they did was, you want to guess? They took the lid off of our dish and put it on the one that they had in their hand, which obviously was probably priced very low because it was missing the lid. So walked off with our lid. So then our set ended up being not complete because the biggest casserole dish now is missing the lid. So thankfully, you know, we know a lot of people and know a lot of dealers, and there's one guy at the auction that deals a lot in Pyrex, and he'll buy just, you know, replacement lids and things like that, because those do also sell. And thankfully he had a lid that would fit our dish, so Eric purchased it from him. So we got a lid really quickly and was able to, you know, put a lid back on the dish that someone took the lid off of. So never in a million years did I think that was something someone would ever do. But of course, in this day and age, people will do literally anything. So we were told that we should start taping our lids to the dishes. So now all of our lids are taped on. That still might not stop someone from taking the tape off the lid, but they're probably going to be a little more less likely because they have to go and peel off like two, you know, pieces of tape, and it's going to take longer, and then, you know, there might be more of a chance of someone seeing you fiddling with, you know, tape on a lid kind of thing. So we went ahead and we taped down all of the lids on all of our Pyrex dishes, which is, like I said, something I never would have thought that I needed to do. So just a heads up, if you also sell Pyrex dishes with lids or anything with a lid or something like that, that could also potentially happen, keep that in mind. Maybe start taping down your lids just in case. I mean, maybe, you know, something like that would never potentially happen to you, but I didn't think it would ever happen to us either, and it did. So, you know, just throwing it out there to maybe think about starting to tape down the lids to your dishes. So crazy. It's so crazy that we are at this point in life where we have to tape the lids down on our Pyrex dishes because people are taking the lids and putting them on bottoms. Oh my gosh, I don't know. I just so wanted to make mention of it just in case. So you'll have to let me know down in the comments if something like that has ever happened to you, or if, you know, this is kind of news to you as well, as far as like, you know, taping down lids on the dishes. But that was what I wanted to make mention. We figured out when we were doing like a live, I was doing a live on Whatnot, like a shop in my booth live, and that's when we figured it out. It was on the live. So yeah, that is pretty much everything for this video. Let me know what you guys thought down in the comments, and I will see you next time.